goosebumps every time, yeah, 713. Do the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low-key. I'm sipping low-key and honest, rider. I get those goosebumps every time. I'm coming around, yeah. Things I'm on, you make everything go fine. Really want those problems. What you want, I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich, throw that to the side, yo. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around me, throw that to the side, yo. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the mugs.
Yes, sir.
Like what on me?
Yeah, I was thinking the same as it goes through our mind as it comes in. But welcome. Good evening, everyone. And we're Thursday again. International week is over, or 2 weeks. We are back. Finally, football is back. And welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC, the big match preview. And yes, we've got a fantastic guest, friend of all of ours, to come on and discuss this big game. But first of all, Daz, how are you on this fine Thursday evening, mate?
Grand, yes. Snow in Ireland or in Galway, anyway, the west of Ireland this morning and through most of the day. So yeah, I was due to go to the office, but no, that wasn't happening. Then it was too bad to drive. So yeah, but all good with me. Looking forward to chatting to Dan and getting back into the Premier League. We've got a few points to collect, hopefully. But also, yeah, make sure you smash that like button if you're new, subscribe, and there's 20% off the shop at the moment. So the link is there pinned in the shop. So yeah, go have a look. See if there's something you fancy. How are you, Pete?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a sad day for me. Say goodbye to a really good friend earlier on today. Lovely service. But yeah, you know what's the lovely service and such a great guy. But the hardest thing about it all, and the frustrating thing about it all, is that I reconnected with a lot of good friends today that I've known since I was a kid, and it's always a horrible situation in which you reconnect with somebody. Yeah. Like it always takes something like that to happen. But look, we celebrated his life really well. Fantastic send off, and yeah, it was great to know actually meeting so many people that even though they don't support either of our clubs, that they come and tune in on a regular basis to Loaded Mag NUFC. So that was a nice surprise. So that did make me feel a little bit chipper after that. But look, toast to Courtney, great guy. He'll be sorely missed, and hopefully he'll send his look down to us and we get 3 points on Monday night. But
we've someone that might have something to say about that, though.
Hey, we do. And we love a segue, Daz, and you've segued this perfectly because, of course, we can't talk about Monday night's big game without having the opposition's view, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome back in the main man, Mr. Dan Lawless of Lawless Live. Let's get him in. Let's discuss this. We've got some things.
Yes. The Jamaican Geordie is back. The original Jamaican Geordie. Sorry, Drade.
Boom.
Here he is.
There we go. Great to be back. Great to be back on the show, lads.
Welcome, Dan.
Nice one. It's been a while, man. It's been a while, I'm not gonna lie. It's been an interesting number of months since you last come on. Things have been up and down. Things have changed. You got what you wanted, my man. Moyes out, finally gone. Lopetegui comes in. You seemed excited about it, and then the season starts, and you know what? 5 or 10 minutes before the show started, I just thought, let me have a look at what West Ham's saying, and I just thought, let's have a look at some of their results. And I'm not going to lie, I was surprised by them right from the beginning of the season. Very up and down. Some wins, some losses, some draws. And then you go into more recently, it's sort of like you beat Ipswich, you think you're going to continue on. Then you lose to Spurs heavily. Win against Man United, and you think, right, it's going to be up again. And then you lose to Forest. And I want to get your thoughts on this one, Dan, and I know you probably were trying to avoid this because you've had 2 weeks of bliss, not thinking about football at all. But that draw to West Ham, and I watched that game. It was not good. Not gonna lie, man. Like, where are you at right now? We're in the end of November, and you're sitting 14th in the table. I think you're about 5 or 6 points off us, and we haven't had the best of seasons. Tell us where you're at, man.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, I come into the season, I was all for giving the new manager time, giving him a chance, potentially giving him just a season grace. Do you know what I mean? Just to figure out the team. And I usually do that with managers, give them a season grace to learn about the team. However, with Lopetegui, it's so frustrating. I'm not seeing any type of progress from him. And as the games go on, he just seems like he's no closer to figuring out what his best team is. It's just constant changes week to week, constantly getting the starting lineup wrong and having to correct it with the substitutions. And I see a table as well, which came out. It said about like how many minutes teams have given academy players, like young players, and we've given 0 minutes to what's considered academy players this season. And my 3 main criteria coming into this season for me to support Lopetegui was play better football. You saw the Everton game. It was to play youngsters, play youth, get some more youth a chance. He's loaned most of them out near enough, and he's not playing the rest of them. And the third one was to keep us away from a relegation battle. And that's looking iffy at the moment. So out of all 3 of my criteria, he's checking off 0, which means right now I can't continue to support him. So I'm pretty much in favor of feeling like, it's probably time for a change. It's just it's not the right fit. It's just it was the wrong appointment. That's where I'm at the moment.
So interesting. And with that, do you we won't talk about the game too much in detail until a little bit later on. But are you thinking this is a must win for him to save his job? Is it got to that point where it becomes that important on Monday?
Yeah. No, I think it has. I think it really has. And I look at these next 2 games, Arsenal and Newcastle. Initially, it was reported that the board saw them as free hits, but there was a report from The Guardian that's come out that said, no, he will be judged on these games. And it's his own fault. You would see it's harsh to expect to go away to Newcastle and win and then to beat Arsenal at home. But by not winning the winnable games, you've put yourself in this situation now where we have to get some significant points. Like, I think if we, was to get a draw in this game, like draw an Arsenal game, you look at that and go, yeah, great points. But if we come and we lose convincingly, you can't survive that. Like you've had enough time. We need to see improvements in the performances, and that's my problem. Is it's not so much the results as the performances. If it was one of them things where we was playing really well and we was just unlucky, things weren't going our way, we was playing really attacking football and they just exploited a gap or something. You can hang on to something, but the performances ain't great. And the results ain't great. That's a recipe for disaster. You can't survive long. You can't last long with that. And when you're playing crap, I've always said this, and I said this about Moyes, when it's all very well playing that way, if you're winning.
Yeah.
But when you're not winning, the patience ain't there. And it's not like they're the same. It's not like Lopetegui's approach is to go and play defensive. In fact, he's playing quite a high line to our detriment. It's just how disjointed this team is. It's really just not entertaining to watch, and there's just a lot of sidewards and backwards passing, really slow build up. We did see that under Moyes, but it's just like there's no ideas. The off the ball movement just isn't there. Players are static, and so you're passing. Where's the options? No one's trying to run into space, and it just creates for a really dull watch. And you ain't going to get much patience out of that. People ain't going to stand that for too long.
No, definitely. Hey, look, Daz, I'll come to you. Like, I don't know how much you've seen of West Ham this season, But what do you make of, as an outsider, as a Newcastle fan looking at West Ham's situation? Like, what do you make of what's going on at their club? Because I'm going to be honest, I thought they would be right up there competing with us for European football. I thought we'd be higher up, but I thought they're right up there with us with the attacking line that they've got. Well, how have you seen it this season from them so far?
I'm the same, and Brett is the same in the chat as well. With the good signings that were made during the summer, and us looking on and talking about Mark A or somewhere, nothing happening. We were kind of a bit jealous. But what have I made of them? Well, I have been watching a bit of West Ham YouTube. And first of all, actually, go subscribe to Dan's Dan Lawless Live. That's the first thing you need to do. The link is hyperlinked in the description, so subscribe to Dan if you haven't done so already. But I've been watching that. I see Big Dave is potentially calling for Rafa to come in. I thought that was interesting. It was a name that was mentioned in passing anyway.
Well, what he said was, I think what he was saying, I interviewed him, and I think he was trying to say is that's what we'll end up with.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah.
Like, basically, we don't want him, but they're just going to sack him and get in Rafa, And there was some Newcastle fans going like, "How dare he think they're too good for Rafa?" And it's just like, at this stage, 2024, it's just not. And we're already complaining about style of play and things like that. And then you're going to go and bring in Rafa Benitez. Nah, it's not for me. So it's nothing to say. Great manager, great legacy. 2024, no, thank you.
Yeah. You are right, because he does say go pay whatever it takes to get Poch out of the US. That's what he was. He got around after that. But another I watched yourself as well with on West Ham TV, and you talked about youth there, not giving youth a chance, but you're also thinking about Pogba bringing him back. So that was
you're linked to him as well, by the way.
I know
West Ham and Newcastle.
That's not going to happen.
Is
he going to be the savior to keep you from getting relegated?
Listen, there was a few West Ham fans who were like, "Oh, you want young players complaining about our squad being so old, and you want Pogba." It's like, we looked at it and you just think, well, there are certain exceptions that you have to make when you get a player of that quality. It's a risk. Pogba would be a risk, but the risk, I think the reward could outweigh that risk. Potentially, if you get Pogba hungry, coming back at his best, our midfield is atrocious. And a player like Pogba, I think, could be just what we need in that midfield. There's just no balance, and having someone that can actually pick out passes and things like that, that would be great. So he wouldn't be available till March, but I'd get him in, get him up to speed, and then and of course it all depends on fees, wages, all of that sort of stuff. But I would definitely give him a go. And I think Newcastle, even still, just to have a player like Pogba, a player of that quality, I think it lifts the standards, sells a lot of shirts. You guys have got your FFP situation that might balance it out. Sell a load of black and white Pogba shirts.
We ruled him out already.
We've got no chance of getting Paul Pogba for the reasons that you just said, Lawless. Actually, is that if you look at someone like Paul Pogba, wherever he's gone, he's been on excessive wages, even at a young age. And I think even now, on his name alone, he will command big wages. Now, us as a club, since we've been taken over, that's the one thing we haven't done is overpay players on huge wages. But
what you do, Pete, and this was my solution, is you put him on whatever your wage cap is, put him on that cap, and then give him a signing on fee. Yeah, that counts. So what it does then is it doesn't break your wage structure, but then because he's a free transfer, you're giving him a signing on bonus to make up for the wages that he's taking less of. And I don't think any club, even if he went to the Arsenals and Liverpools, I don't think they're paying him his 250 grand a week. So he's going to have to accept a lesser wage. So I think there's a deal to be done, and he can't expect to come into any club and get what he's been getting.
No, absolutely. But I do think your club, you do pay higher wages than we do, and I think that it would.
What's your cap? What's your highest earner?
Bruno's on what, 180 or just under 200 a week.
Oh, well, but that kills that.
Much.
We ain't got anyone like anywhere near that.
Really?
We had, I can't remember who it was, if it was Javier Hernandez. We did have a player that was on around 180, 170 like ages ago, but they're no longer at the club. So I think like our highest is probably like 110, 120. I think Ings is our like highest paid player.
Oh wow.
Like, so everyone is around the 100k a week mark, like not that far above if someone's like 110, 120 max. But Bowen did sign a new deal recently, so I don't know what he's gone up, but he's definitely nowhere near like 170 or anything like that.
Oh, that's interesting. I might be getting you guys mixed up with Aston Villa. So I know Aston Villa, they signed Horror on a free transfer and gave him like 200 grand a week, and they're paid out crazy wages on lots of other players as well. But Foxy's just put he's like he knows everything in our chat. He put Paqueta and Bowen are both on 150. So that must be your top range.
Yeah,
that must be.
Bruno's on 160. It says,
okay.
And he's acting on 120. So that's where Bruno's increasing.
Exactly. That would be an interesting one. Like, obviously we was chatting a bit before we went live about Isak, and you would probably have to give him a wage boost. Like, if you're going to want to get him signed that new contract and keep him, which it will be hard. Yeah. And I think Europe is going to be a massive factor, and you need definitely a big push in the rest of the season to get that significant European spot. But yeah, you're gonna have to offer him, I don't know, like maybe that 180 or something might be enough. It's gonna have to be a big fee to keep him.
He's going to be the one that will break the barrier, 100%. 24, 25 years old, one of the best strikers around at the moment in terms of guaranteed to score goals and play well week in, week out. Had a bit of a slow start to the season, but he's now up and running. He's the one that will probably break that 200 grand a week barrier for me, and I think he would be worth it. He's the guy that would be worth it for sure. But it's an interesting one, and we'll come back to Newcastle as well. Like, what have you made in Newcastle this season, in your opinion? Obviously, you watched from afar. You didn't give us any hope in the Arsenal game. Remember in the 12th man chat, we're just not.
That's the tactical jinx. That's what I call it. Tactical jinx.
That's not good enough to beat Arsenal in this case, and we did. What have you made in Newcastle so far, and what do you what have you made, and what do you expect of Newcastle moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, like a very, very unexpectedly slow start to the season, which I was very surprised about. Pressure was seemingly starting to mount on Eddie Howe. And yeah, it was just one of them. I didn't expect you to start so slowly. And the games then, after the way that you had been playing, the games that I didn't think you guys would win, Arsenal and Forest, you go out and pull off the wins. And I did watch the Forest game because I will admit, and Wolfie's in the chat, and I don't like to say this around him, but I did want Forest to win just because I wanted them to push Arsenal further down, like the just the comedy of it. So I did watch that game. Yeah, like it's such a weird one following Newcastle, because especially I've been doing we've had like this fantasy sponsor on our chat, and just seeing like how sort of all around the team, it's not just like, okay, there's one player. It's just been team performance has not been up to scratch, but it looks like things are finally starting to tick. You're gonna finally hit your stride. I'm not sure what your injuries are, but it seems like you got a lot of your better players back. So I expect you guys to sort of kick on from here now. Like, you've got us, didn't you? Then you got Palace and Liverpool. It's an interesting set of fixtures, very mixed. So
if you look after Liverpool, we've probably got a decent run up to Christmas where we would probably expect to get points. With the likes of Leicester, Brentford away, Ipswich away. There's another one in there, Villa at home. I think there's one that I'm missing as well. Palace, obviously next week. So we've got a run of fixtures where you think we can pick up some points after a bit of a tough run. But we definitely seems to be going in the right direction. But are you worried about Monday? Are you worried about what you might kind of walk into at St James's Park on a Monday evening?
Yeah, I mean, obviously seeing how we've been performing. Yeah, I won't be rooting for Forest much this season, but yeah, basically seeing how we've been performing, our just lack of ability to create big chances. We're not really scoring goals. Set pieces been non-existent, so I can't go into this game feeling much confidence. Obviously, Kudus is still out; he's still suspended because they gave him an extra 2 games. It's going to be a very tough one.
See that? I was happy
Yeah,
to see.
so like to perform like obviously play like we've been playing, and expect to try and get something is hard enough. Let alone missing one of your best players in Kudus. It's going to be a very uphill battle, and you've ended the last 2 games, obviously going into national break on a high. 2 wins in a row, so the momentum is with you. Yeah, oh yeah, no, I will be wanting Forest to win this Saturday. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So you guys are on a high. You know what I mean? The momentum. In fact, it was like the international break probably came at a bad time for you guys, whereas it probably came at a better time for us. So that's going to be an interesting thing. But yeah, I can't go into this game with any confidence. The only hope is that anything can happen in the Premier League. So I'm hoping it's still early doors for Lopetegui, as much as I'm done with him. I'm hoping he surprises me and he pulls something out the bag that we haven't seen yet. He gets the tactics right. He analyzes Newcastle and he puts the team out that he thinks can beat Newcastle, get something, and we get something. That's my hope, but yeah, it's all up in the air. I can't have my chest out for this one.
A lot of hate for Arsenal in the chat tonight. I wonder why.
Wolfie's conversion,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah, don't forget how Arsenal fans were with Newcastle over the corner and all of that last season, and just so unbearable with it. So I don't think there's a lot of love lost between Newcastle fans and Arsenal fans at the moment.
We haven't forgot, mate. We haven't forgot at all.
You ruined Potts' birthday 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
2 years in a
Bring
row.
on the hat trick.
Yeah, next year. Come on.
Bring it on.
I love Potts, but I hope he never has a good birthday when Arsenal are concerned. I was born in June, so I never have to worry about West Ham ruining my birthday.
That's it. It'll just be England from that point.
Yeah, that's it. It's true. Yeah, international football.
Daz, from your perspective, are you confident going in on Monday? So Lawless is saying he's not got his chest out, not as confident as he would like to be going into this game. Are you the opposite? Are you confident that we're going to go and win? I'm seeing a lot of Newcastle fans that are confident the way we're playing that we can go and put on a performance on Monday night. Are you one of them?
Yeah, I have to say that. Look, I am confident in this one, and I'm confident in the game against Palace. But we're at home for this one. But anything can happen, as we found out for the 4-3 game that we all with the load of boys attended and sat beside each other. And at halftime, we were like, we didn't actually even speak to each other. We couldn't speak. We were just speechless. But then the second half, and it was absolutely unbelievable. So anything can happen, of course. But I am confident. I think we go get the 3 points on Monday night football, Monday night lights.
And we weren't playing well in that game back in late March. You guys went 3-1 up, I think, just after half time. I think Bowen scored the 3rd goal to make it 3-1. You guys were home and hosed at that point, and we managed to put it back. And we weren't in great form at that particular time because we're going in good form. And we're getting players back. So, Lloyd, you mentioned about, what's our squad looking like? Well, there's a potential that we're adding Kieran Trippier and Callum Wilson to that squad on Monday. They have been earmarked to be back in the squad for that game. And Callum Wilson loves playing against West Ham. He
such a prick, honestly. It's what he lives on. Typical that he would get fit for this game. He's probably been like, he's seen the fixture and he's right. I'm gonna have to do all the training I can. Come on, let me do the rehab. Let me get fit for that game. You know what I mean? Inject me with some of that sort of stuff that Pep gives players. And inject me. I hate him so much, man. People were talking about like we were linked with him, and I was like, I just hate him too much to see him in a West Ham shirt, and it's way too late to even think about signing Callum Wilson.
But would you take him if he was offered to you in January? Because he's only got 6 months left on his deal. We're not going to give him, or it's not looking likely at all that we're going to give him a new contract. And there is rumours of us, potentially moving him on to bring in maybe another striker.
That would be just absolutely the wrong signing, like completely the wrong signing for us, who's got Mikel Antonio, who's like nearly 34. You got Ings, who's 32, I think. Fulkrug, who's around 33. We don't even see. So that's our strike force. And then you add, how old is Wilson?
32.
32, yeah. So we'd have just a strike force of a combined age of like, what, 140 or something like that, like something ridiculous. So yeah, like we better just stay clean. Unless you want to swap Antonio and we'd take Wilson.
Right. That way.
That's the might as well listen, because I don't want them to just at the club doing little podcasts in the changing rooms and shit like that. Like
TikToks.
Yeah. You know what? I've not heard any since Callum Wilson left that pod. I don't think I've heard anything since. I don't even know if they even do it anymore.
No, I haven't heard about it. It was just ridiculous. Like, just you're still playing and they're going on doing these podcasts and just embarrassing all of their fan base.
I think that the hardest part about that podcast, that it became obvious, is that neither of them could talk about football because neither of them were fit. They were both injured, and like they were talking about the games and stuff that was happening, and neither of them were partaking in any of it because they were just injured all the time. And I think that's why Callum Wilson stepped away, because he had a long-term injury that was going to keep him out like 2 or 3 months, and he was like, "There's no point in talking about football when he's not playing." And Antonio had played here and there, but still wasn't playing. And it was just a weird situation. But for me, I wouldn't swap Antonio. I'm not going to lie, Lawless. I'm really surprised that you still got him. I did believe, I was convinced.
We've not just got him. He's our first choice. He's starting every week.
So what's happened with Fulkrug then? Fulkrug came in. He spent 30 hours. He was in the Champions League final last season. When you sign him, everyone was like, "You've got a good striker there." Yeah, Daz has mentioned that he's injured, but like even the games that he's played, he just didn't look right. Like what's going on with him? And will he be available on Monday?
No, he will not be available. He got injured like 3 international breaks ago, and he was supposed to be out for 2 weeks, we heard, and it's just been like, oh no, he's not available yet. We don't know when he'll be back. We don't know when we'll be back. It is so strange, and it's a hard because we didn't get to see much of him before he played, like a few cameos in there, and you just look at it and go, okay, new signing, get up to speed. Like we never got to see him fully and to see what he was capable of before he got injured, and now he's just really, I don't know what is up with his injury. Paid 20-odd million for him, and we're hearing he's unsettled. It's just, I think, going to go down as one of those disastrous signings.
What do you know why? Why he's unsettled? What?
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me in being honest, because I guess he's coming to a new country, new team, and he's injured, so he's not probably been able to really get to know his teammates and all of that, build that camaraderie, because he's had to be out on the sidelines. He can't contribute, so he's probably feeling a bit isolated in the new country. So it's the worst time. So it wouldn't really surprise me. And it's just obviously things ain't going well on the pitch for us anyway. So yeah, it really frustrates me because Sullivan didn't want to sign Amorim because he thought paying 10 million for him is a risk, but paid 20-odd million for Fulkrug, who has sketchy injury history. So it'll be one of them ones we're so crap at signing strikers, man. It just drives me mad. Like, it drives me absolutely mad. Like, we could go through the list, the amount of Golden Sullivan, they've signed something like 57 strikers in their time. And like none of them, like a handful of them have like more than 5 goals. Like I literally could probably count.
Who was your last striker at the club that you went, yeah, he's proper. He's a proper striker. We need to keep hold of him. Who was the last one in your mind as a West Ham fan?
Tony Cottee.
Tony
Who?
Cottee.
Tony Cottee.
No, Tony Cottee. No, probably Arnautovic.
You were a Newcastle fan back then when Tony Cottee played for West Ham.
Yeah, I was. To be fair, I was watching Shearer. No, it probably, probably was an Arnautovic. Probably was Marco Arnautovic. I'd say where I was like, yeah, this guy's the man. Like we had Skamaka and Allaire, who I liked both of them, but they just didn't fit the Moyes way. They didn't fit. You know, I thought they were both good, but they weren't. But Arnautovic fit, and I was like, yeah, this is the man. And that was like what 2017, something like that. Yeah.
David H has put in the chat. Dean Ashton. Dean Ashton.
I loved him.
Away from you because he was, and it was unfortunate circumstances that you kind of lost him because he got a bad injury on international duty. But I tell you, watching him. I remember that goal that he scored at Old Trafford. Was it the
bicycle? Was it?
Yeah, the bicycle
or
kick.
Something. Yeah.
And at that point, when he scored that goal, he was linked with Man United at that point, or linked with the top teams. And you think like he was unbelievable for you. And if he'd have not got injured, I think he'd have been dynamite for you. He was definitely the one that got away. He was the one I always remember. But and that was a good one.
Yeah, that was the last one, I think. The last one. Antonio is it's a real tricky one because, you know, he has these moments, but as time goes on, these moments come sort of more few and far between. And it was weird because he went for a period where he was getting injured quite a lot, but now he's sort of beat those injury problems. He's just not been very good. He's a number 9 who constantly drifts out to the wing, so he's never a focal point. He's never where you want him to be. I feel just listen. You can name all the great ones. We've on West Ham Fan 2. Me and Nicky are going to do a video where we rank all of the strikers that the Golden Sullivan have signed because we've had Zaza. That was a disaster. Simone Zaza.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I could go on and on. Like I said, some of the names. I can't remember. I'm trying to think if we've had what ones we've had in common with Newcastle. Obviously, Andy Carroll, which was very hit and miss. He was great, but injury prone.
Craig Bellamy.
Yeah, Bellamy, who was absolutely unbelievable for us. I seen an interview. He didn't want to leave West Ham, and it's just by the ownership. We would have kept him. Did you guys have John Carew?
No.
That was Villa, I think.
He's quality. He was quality, though.
Not for us, he weren't. We signed him in the Championship. He was not quality for us, I tell you.
He was good for Villa. He was good for Villa, but he was a top striker. Did he come to you before Villa or after?
No, after Villa. We signed him when we was in the Championship. Yeah, that was after Villa, I think.
Paul Kitson.
Yeah. Paul Kitson.
Google.
Les Ferdinand.
Les Ferdinand. Yeah. We had him like at the tail end of his career when we get these great players.
I'm still convinced he was the answer to that question on the quiz, man. We haven't talked about that quiz.
Yeah, well, we found out that he was using a 5-year-old quiz book.
Marlon Harewood is another one.
Yeah, Harewood. You guys had Harewood
in the Championship. He came. We signed him halfway through the season. When we first got relegated in 2009, we signed him in the January, I believe. I think he scored on his debut against Middlesbrough. He racked up some goals for us, but I don't think we kept him beyond that. But yeah, he did a good job for us. Okay.
Yeah. So we've just had bad luck, and that's why I'm so tired of it. I just want to see us sign a good striker. You know, if we could find the next Isak, like why can't we find these strikers? Obviously, Duran was someone that we was trying to get. Oh yeah, we did both have Bar. Yeah, Denver Bar. Yeah. Denver Bar.
Denver Bar. Because he was on. Was he on loan fee with you guys for that 6 months?
No, we had him. I think, but there was a clause or something in his contract. I think he had a clause when we went down or something like that. There was a clause because we had said he was like banging in goals, and then we couldn't keep him for some reason.
What a player!
Yeah, man. If we could have kept him, that would have been great. But yeah, man, like I said, Duran, we could have got John Duran, but we pissed about with the fee. So
Yeah, but you didn't want him though. You didn't want to pay the fee. Do you regret that now? Because I remember you guys were talking in the summer. You didn't want to pay that fee from him. You thought it was too much. You know.
Well, do you know what?
Again, would you go back and pay that fee? Would you pay?
Yeah, in hindsight, yeah. But what I didn't like is Villa moving the goalposts. You know what I mean? That was my problem. They was just making it overly difficult. It's like, okay, you're saying one fee, so stick with that. Don't just change it. So people talking about Ashby. Oh yeah, what happened to Ashby? Where's Ashby, Pete? Where's Ashby? Harrison Ashby. What happened to him? Hey?
What knocking around, isn't he?
I've been waiting for you to bring that one up.
The next big superstar. Eh? He was all like, "Yeah, don't worry, Ashby. We're gonna sort him. I'm gonna look on." Where is he?
I'm not gonna lie, Lawless. I'm gonna hold the L on that one. I'm gonna hold the L. Daz will know. I said it in the summer when people were saying, "Oh, you know, with Trippier potentially leaving when he was linked with you guys." It was kind of like, oh no, we've got Tino #1, Kraft, and we could bring Ashby in. And I was like, nah, Ashby's not going to make it in Newcastle United. For as nice as a guy he is, he's had 2 really poor loans out to various different clubs, and I just think, he's not going to make it for whatever reason. I think the loans have let him down. Like when we've had a good loan and the players come back, we tend to give them an opportunity. Elliot Anderson was a classic example of that. Had a great loan at Bristol Rovers, came back and became a first-team player. He's had bad loans and then come back and just not really look the part. And it happens for players. It happens. But I did genuinely think from what the little snippets I'd seen that I thought he would make it. But yeah, I'll take the L on that one. Oh, mate.
Fair enough.
You can hold that against me, man. You can hold that against me. But
QPR, no.
That's fine.
No. I think, you know what? I think there's some questions in the chat. Normally I would go to the tactics board, and I don't know whether we're going to have enough time because I think you've got to go soon, Lawless. But we'll fire some questions away.
Let's go quick fire because there's a lot of questions here, Dan.
Right. No, I can listen. Rack through the questions. I can hold on a bit longer.
All right.
Will Smith, the original. He wants a tune from me, Lawless.
Is that what I didn't know? I've never heard a single Newcastle fan say tune. I've never heard that. There you go. Tune.
Well, I mean, you would have heard it. You would have heard it.
GK, not the one in the jungle, asks who is likely to leave first, Kudus or the manager?
The manager
can't coexist.
Yeah, the manager at this rate, definitely. With these fixtures coming up, unless he pulls out saying it's Lopetegui's not long for this team.
Do you genuinely think that like Kudus will leave in the summer? Do you think that I know he's got the release clause, but you think is there a chance that you hold on to him, or do you think he's gone?
Yeah, there's a chance. The chance is that we get a new manager in and we really, step up and we improve massively. I think that's it. And then we end the season really strong in a place where he feels like, okay, I can do something here. Do you know what I mean? Like this team's going somewhere. That's the chance. And then it all depends like what team's actually going to want to pay the release clause. Because you know what it's like. Teams will see it's an 85 million release clause. They'll offer you 65. Do you know what I mean? Like thinking we'll take that. So that's the thing. Because I think with release clauses, when you trigger the release clause, you have to pay it. You don't get to do installments. I think that's the rule. So if it's an 85 mil release clause, you've got to pay the 85 million. So that a lot of teams are going to be very hesitant to do that, which makes things a bit easier for us. Because you've got one on Bruno, right? Is it Bruno? You've got one on?
We don't. Yeah.
We don't know. I think this is what you might be saying, Daz, is that we don't know whether it gets reactivated in the summer next season. Nobody's mentioned.
Ours did that. Our one was so Kudus had a release clause active this summer, and no one activated it, and it missed. Then it reactivates next summer.
Okay.
So it's not available in January. The release clause.
Oh, I think Newcastle fans would be at panic stations if that was the case. But no one's reported on it. No one's mentioned it. So as far as we're concerned at this point in time, it's not a thing. But who knows?
Right, let's combine two questions together. We'll go to Will Smith again. He goes, Lawless, who would you pick as new manager? And Nobby follows up with, for the lovely Lawless, would you take Moyes back?
No, and absolutely not. And who would I take? Maybe Iraola. I would take. Nicky wants Nuno Espirito Santo from Forest to see Wolfie's in the chat. He's like, yeah, just go get him money.
You won't like that.
I would lean towards Iraola. I think that would be my choice. But yeah, just go out and pay release clauses for managers. That's what I believe.
As you mentioned, the big bad wolf, he asked the question, boys, can you ask my good mate Danny Boy if West Ham will still get Champions League?
So I've never said we would. That's a malicious lie spread by D. Never once did I say that. We talked about it and I said, yes, I think we could be in the conversation like we was in those seasons under Moyes where it got to January and we were like 5 points, 4 points off of fourth. So I never said we'd actually get fourth or Champions League or anything. I said we'll be like in the conversation at stages this season. I can see it with the players we've got. But Lopetegui's flopped on that one. We're not that far off it, that many points. We could salvage it, by the way. Like, if we got a new manager that come in and knew what he was doing with his team, like, how many points are we off of top four? Like, really and truly. Let's do it. Listen, I don't care if it sounds crazy. I'm doing it.
I'm just going to steal the chat because Wolf is coming to respond.
Find a clip. Find a clip.
And he's got
Find a clip of me saying we're getting top four or Champions League.
Hey, look.
He's called it. Don't make me clip you.
Find the clip. Find the clip. But yeah, we're 7 points off of top four. Yeah. So listen, if we say we did get a manager and it was the manager that could make the team click, we could be in that conversation. I'm not saying we'd get it, but I'm saying like we'd be a few points off it.
Anything is possible. Dan, look at Deji is Ange out, but could still thinks they can get a treble. Potential to get a treble. There's still a chance.
Deji's you know more than anyone. He's wild, man.
Yeah. He's crazy.
But yeah, since you mentioned D, David asked, does Lawless still want the Palace gaffer? D said you're welcome to have him.
Yeah, that he says this is so funny. Like we switched the great flipping Oliver Glasner, like he was going to transform Palace and everything, and now we're welcome to him. I would take him because I blame Palace. You know, if you're any manager, it's going to be the Palace manager. You've got a ceiling of absolute mediocrity at best. So I think with the brand of football he plays, with our players, which our squad is just so much better than Palace's squad, I think he would do a good job at West Ham. So I would take him, yeah. So that would be a good call. Yeah, it could be a good shot.
Cool. Question from Foxy. He asks, is it not more beneficial for you guys to be loaning out Luis Gomeri rather than him coming on for 4 minutes here and there?
I don't know why we signed him, man. He was like 25 mil or something like that. And he's barely played. Maybe, yeah, we could have loaned him out. He's one of the only players we've got who actually has any pace, funny enough. But yeah, we just don't get to see him. It's such a strange signing. There's a lot of talks about like, oh, he's going to be the next Brazilian superstar, like the next Neymar, and that's what they've seen in him. Like that's yet to be seen. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know what the plan is for him. It's at the moment it's just very strange to me, that signing.
Back to the Palace. David asked, does Lawless feel confident the Hammers will finish above DE's Palace?
Yeah, very confident. Very confident. Listen, that they've got one win all season. And this guy, he messages me constantly. All he wants to talk about is West Ham. West Ham, oh, you're this, you're that. It's like, you got one win all season. One win. So,
he might be in touch with you soon because Wolfie's he's saying I'm calling D.
Yeah, find the clip. They've got Villa away next Saturday, and then they've got Newcastle at home. Villa Palace.
I'm not gonna lie, we need to put them in the mud. We do. We need to mud them.
I will be pulling for Newcastle that day.
You buy that shirt, man. Buy that shirt.
Get the dreads on.
I think there's a few more
This
questions.
there is, this one from again Will Smith, but it's John Clare Talibo, your old boy Pete. Yeah, he asked
Ruining
how's
my boy,
he
man.
settling in.
You're ruining my boy, Lawless. What you doing to him?
Man. He's quality. He's absolute quality. But again, our defense is a shambles. Both like Kilman and Tadibo are class. But like I said, we're playing in such a high line. So you've got the fullbacks high up the pitch, you've got the defenders high up the pitch, and we're just getting caught out. But he is just class. Like in a serious team with a proper setup, if we get ourselves together, yeah, man, he's gonna shine. Like he's such a good player.
I'm not gonna lie. Like if we don't sign Gay or a centre back in January, I kind of hope that loan move fails and we can pick him up because like Williams mentioned it and a few others in other chats have mentioned it. Like Pete, you said Tadibo was a good player. What's going on? I'm like, he is. I'm like, literally, West Ham's season is ruining him right now because he's not showing his capabilities of how good this guy actually is. He's a good centre back. He's a very good centre back. You don't get picked up for France national team with the amount of players they have if you're not good. You're a good centre back, and he's just not. We're not seeing it right now. So,
well, the only way the loan move will fail is if we just stop playing him, because I think the clause is once we make a certain number of, he makes a certain number of appearances and stuff like that. So,
you ruined the dream, man. You ruined the dream.
Yeah, like it's we've got an obligation after he plays X amount of games. It turns into obligation, so that's probably going to happen.
Okay, fair enough.
Let's go take at least one more question and go to this one from 1983. Yes, Dan, who would get in West Ham's team from Newcastle?
I'm
Definitely Isak. Definitely Isak. With us just not even having to think about it because our striker situation is a shambles. You would say Bruno, like Paqueta has been a shell of himself lately. Paqueta, I don't know if it's the trial, all of that stuff, but he's just not been anywhere near his standards. And then I'm just looking at just trying to refresh my memory. Gordon's on the right. I would still take Bowen. I think I'd still personally, as much as Gordon, I would take Gordon, but I'm
on the left.
On the you played Gordon on the right against.
I'm going to share the screen a second because this might help with regards to organising it. So from
you had Joe Linton on the left against.
Yeah, that's the way we've been playing the last few games, and that's how we line up as well.
Well, that seems to be working.
Just to help exactly. With the that, and I know you haven't got long. You have Areola in goal, right? Just quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly tell us your 11 that you would normally start with.
Wan-Bissaka at right back.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Right, yeah, he's good.
Yeah, and then Tadibo and then Kilman. So Tadibo next to Wan-Bissaka and then Kilman, and then Emerson.
Yeah, there we go.
And then you would have. At the moment, he's been playing this midfield. It's all over the place. This is what I'm saying. So doing this tactic thing's a madness. But he's been playing like 2 DMs in Alvarez and Rodriguez.
Okay.
And then probably Paqueta in front of them. And then is this with Kudus or without Kudus? We're saying
we'll do the one for without him because he's not going to play on Monday.
Yeah. So Somerville would be on the left, who's been one of our bright sparks who's just not got enough game time. And then Bowen on the right and Antonio up top. So, but again, it's this changes from week to week a lot of the time, but that's kind of like the safe bet of the team that we've been playing. So some weeks Rodriguez or Paqueta could come out, probably Rodriguez might come out for Souček, things like that. So there'll be those little changes. Although we ain't got Ward-Prowse anymore, he's at. I've
got him in the Forest one.
He's at Forest, he's at Forest, isn't he? Yeah. Yeah, which we should have kept him really, because like I said, we're playing 2 defensive midfielders, and our midfield is probably our weakest part of our team right now. It's a shambles. Paqueta's just not doing what he does. He's not living up to his potential. So yeah, it's tough. So Somerville is going to be our big hope, really, against you guys. He's going to be what we're looking for a lot of our threat, and hopefully Bowen's scoring for England is giving him some confidence. His whole dad's in there. Look at him after we sacked their manager, right? He's all happy. Like someone said in the chat earlier, about if Man United lose this weekend and their new manager bounce gets left in the ashes.
Oh yeah, I'm expecting a lawless thread popping up if that happens, man.
It would be funny.
But I'm just going to throw a couple of players out just because I know you got to leave. You got Pope, Shaw. Do these play? I'm just going to say these players that I think maybe are in consideration to come into your team. You've got Pope, Shaw. You got Lewis Hall, Livramento after their international berths. You got Sandro Tonali, Joe Willock.
Yeah, Tonali. He looks like he's going to be. He's back. Isn't he, Tonali?
Would you take Gordon Barnes over any of your wingers?
So Gordon on the left. I would probably take him as a left winger. I'd probably take him as a left winger for sure. I think he's quality. Oh yeah, the case true. Billy is the common enemy. But yeah, Gordon. I would probably take as on the left, because Somerville still needs to see more of him. So I would definitely take Gordon. It's so hard for me to make a case for any of my players now because we're so crap. So it's really hard for me to go, this player's not getting in over this player. Like at the moment, you feel like, oh yeah, I'll take him. But yeah, the ones that stand out are your Brunos, your Isaks, your Joe Lintons, Gordons, those type of players stand out big time. And then maybe you got Tonali. He's someone who's definitely in consideration. Halmurum, I would have took him. Oh, Miggy Almiron.
Still can in January.
Nah, it's too late now. See, this all the players of yours that you are getting rid of, I would have wanted like a few years ago, like Wilson, flipping. Who do we just say? Almiron,
Almiron, there's a few. It's an interesting one. It's definitely a conversation that we'll leave for another time. David R's just put in that one there. Yes, he does. He still puts him in his confidence world class.
In the Ballon d'Or nominee, is he?
Yes. You've got them coming. Have you got them coming up?
Boxing Day, Stephen's Day in Ireland. We play Villa.
At 12. St. James Park early kickoff. Oh. We've got a good record against them at St. James's Park, so hopefully that continues.
Yeah, they've been dropping down the table, like they're, what I mean. It's kind of
we're above them for as people calling it this bad season that we've had, and it's interesting, Lawless, because we've had people writing off West Ham, we've had people writing off Newcastle, and talking about Tottenham and Villa in top 4 races, but we're like Newcastle.
A lot can change, man.
Yeah, we're ahead of both of them, and I think we're only a few points behind them. So it's all.
That's what I mean. That's why, we've got to not be afraid to make a change of manager if these next few games don't go our way. Just be ruthless. So for now, they're looking like.
The confidence is still there for Wolfie. We absolutely battered him on
Newcastle could go above Forest. If you beat us and they lose to Arsenal, you're above them.
Yeah, they're only a point ahead of us. But this is it. We hammered him, and look, we need to get you on Top Table Talk, Lawless. So we'll talk after the show. We need to get you on the show. But we absolutely hammered Wolfie after that. The whole panel did, and he's still come out fighting. He don't give in at all. But but Lawless, look, I know you've taken probably more time than you had on the channel. So and I know you've got places to be. So
No worries, man.
We'll let you go. Massive thanks for you joining.
Cheers, Dan.
We
Thanks,
can't let you
lad.
go without asking you the prediction for
Yeah, I
Monday
knew
night.
this was coming.
Talk to us. What are you thinking, honestly, about this game on Monday night, man?
I think most we can hope for is a draw. And I said no kudus. So yeah, it's that's right. How's it going, Chris? I'd be good, mate.
There you are, mate.
Yeah, most I can hope for is a draw. Draw, as I say, like a 1-1. But it's going to be very, very tough. Though it's going to be interesting because you scored, you put 3 past Forest, but yeah, you hadn't been sort of free scoring before then. Like a lot of games, you'd sort of struggle to score goals for a lot of games. So I'm hoping to see that Newcastle on Monday. So we could get in the top 10 after this game. To be fair, well, no, we can't. Oh shit, we can't even get even if we win. Oh my god. Yeah, this manager's got a lot to answer for. So yeah, like it's going to be tough. Obviously, under the lights at St James's Park. Yeah, I'm just going to say a 1-1. I'm going to say a 1-1 and hope for the best, but I'm not confident.
Not confident. Hopefully, you're still not confident after Monday night. But look, I'll let you go. Absolute pleasure, Lawless, for having you come and join us.
As always.
Everybody,
Thanks,
we've got well over 200 in the chat. Make sure you click that like. We haven't clicked those likes, but make sure you are subscribed as Newcastle fans to Lawless Live. Get in.
Lawless
help
Live.
Yes.
Big supporter of our channel, Lawless is. Behind the scenes, he's a big supporter of us. He supports us with a lot of advice, a lot of support as an experienced head. So we appreciate him. You appreciate him. Go and subscribe to his channel. And Lawless, good luck for the rest of the season after Monday night, mate.
Yep. Yeah. Same to you guys after Monday. So now have a good one. Much love, everyone. Chris, Daz, Pete. Much love.
Mind yourself, Dan. Good luck.
Take care, man.
Take
See
care,
you,
mate.
Great to have Lawless on. Brilliant guest as always. We didn't get into the conversation actually that we wanted to talk about, and maybe we can touch on it now for a little bit. But hold on a second. Welcome into Chris. I know I've not said that yet, so I hope you are well.
Good, mate. I'm good.
I'm bringing up the team because I wanted Lawless to give his team of what he thought would be Monday because we haven't done it yet, and so therefore we need to set out our team. So look. Boys, let's talk about it. Newcastle's team for Monday night. What we're going for? What do we expect the team to be? So I'll let you.
Very easy.
Go for it.
Very easy. Well, for me, it's the exact same team, but I think Dan Burn's injured, so it's Kelly comes in for Burn.
Yeah,
Suspended.
Suspended.
Yeah.
He's suspended. So are you going Shaw? You say Kelly?
Kelly.
Yeah. The newly capped internationals of Livramento and Hall.
Yes.
Midfield going for the same as before. Bruno,
Same combo. Yeah.
Longstaff and Willock. Okay, and then
J7
front three of Joe Linton on the right. On the right, is that right?
I put him on the left with Willock.
So Gordon on the right, interesting.
Yeah.
Gordon on the right, and then switch like Joe Linton and Willock to be switching during the game, and then Gordon and Joe Linton to switch over as well during the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And then
the usual, bring on Tonali, then the usual that's working.
Is it though? Because as we mentioned earlier on, do we have the additions of Kieran Trippier and Callum Wilson to come back in? So is it going to be the natural change? Are we going to incorporate those two boys into those sort of changes? It's an interesting one, how it's going to work. Don't know what your thoughts are on that. Chris, I'll come to you. Like, is it going to be the standard change of Barnes, Tonali, or are you expecting to see the likes of Trippier and Wilson get
Yeah, I mean it's a great point, Pete, because we've been waiting a while now, haven't we, for Trips and for Wilson. So you could argue, they could on the lineup. I agree with Daz in what he said. I think it will remain unchanged, and rightly so. 2 games in a row, and there's been that nice international break as well, hasn't there? So the boys should be coming back nice and fresh. But yeah, I think they could. Do you know what? You could argue you may even see Louis Miley. Now he's played for the under-21s, hasn't he? He could come on. I suppose really, Pete, it depends how the game's going, doesn't it? Because I didn't hear your scores. I heard Lawless's prediction, but it really does depend. Oh, you haven't picked your score?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, okay. Then, yeah.
Lawless had to go. He's got a meeting he needs to jump to, so we can do ours.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, I mean, it really depends, doesn't it? For me, particularly on the hour mark, what the score's looking like. I mean, if it's comfortable, if it's dare I say it, free, I think we'll see more subs than what maybe if it was a tighter game, perhaps not. But I think if it's comfortable, even if it's 2 and maybe we're playing really well, you might then see the subs. I'd do you know what as well? I'd like to see a Sula. I know that I keep banging that drum, don't I? But I just want to see more of them. And I don't think resting Isak's such a bad thing either. Particularly if he's got his goal, get him off. Particularly if the game's wrapped up. But yeah, do you know what? Which is going to be strange, and we haven't done this for a while. I think more eyes will be on the bench than it will on the starting 11. In terms of we're expecting the starting 11 to be as is on the screen, but in terms of the bench, we're just wanting to hopefully see Callum Wilson and Kieran Trippier. But we'll have to see, boys.
Anything to add, Daz, on that?
Yeah, I'd agree with what Chris is saying there, but there was something I was disagreeing with, but it's gone out of my head now. No, yeah, definitely stick with what we have on the screen there. Oh, yeah, I was going to disagree with well, not going to disagree, but just come. I don't think it's going to be as easy, maybe as some people think, though. It's going to be a tough game. I wouldn't be thinking that we could go into high figures in the goal front. I think I'll go with my prediction. I think it's going to be 2-0. But they'll give us a game because they did before.
Do you know what, Daz? I agree. I think they will give us a game. I just feel like last season, for us to be 3-1 down, it was mad for me because we didn't deserve to be 3-1 down. But I don't know about you boys. I feel like we're riding the crest of a wave at the minute. And when you look at the previous results, the last 3 results, you look at them and we've got to be going in with a lot of confidence. And I'll be honest, boys, that's why I was staring in before, just to see, who's lining up. I don't know if we're going to touch on it, but we should run rings around that central midfield, rings around it. I mean, there's not much pace there for me in that central midfield, and I think Paqueta, if he can be kept quiet, I think we'll have a lot of joy against Alvarez and Rodriguez. I really, really do.
And the other thing with Paqueta, he always raises his game when he plays against the Brazilian boys.
He
hasn't played well this season, though. He really hasn't played well. Like the West Ham fans are saying. I have to be honest. The reason why I asked Lawless about some of the performances is because I've actually watched. There's 2 teams I've probably watched quite a lot of this season. Crystal Palace, purely for the Mark Gay perspective, is to keep an eye on him and just watch him play. Any 3 o'clock kickoffs that they're involved in, I've watched pretty much, and I watched a lot of West Ham. I watched pretty much the full game against Everton. And some of the games that I've seen Paqueta play, like he is half the player that we thought we were going to sign when we were close to signing him, or apparently linked with him. Whatever you want, whatever opinion you want to have on that. And watching the way they played against Everton were atrocious in that game at the Olympic Stadium, and they walked out with a point, and actually probably could have won it. They had some really good chances. And I just think that St. James's Park, against that high line, and Daz, he talked about it earlier, Todibo and Kilman do play a high line, and Kilman's not the fastest. We saw that when he came to St. James's Park last season when he was at Wolves. And that high line can get exposed quite a lot, and we know we've got the pace to get in and behind. Emerson's a decent fullback, but the pace of Gordon or Joe Linton is going to struggle. Wan-Bissaka is a good one-on-one defender. Yeah. I'm interested to see this battle here. I think Linton's going to get a lot of joy in this area if he starts in that position. But as you boys have touched on here, this is where I think the battle could well be won. Alvarez is a good midfielder. I don't think he's happy at West Ham. Just my opinion. Just from play. I don't think he's happy there. Rodriguez, I don't think he's at the level. And I just think these guys potentially, with the work rate and the fight in that midfield, could potentially overrun them.
Pete, can I ask you a question? Obviously, I know you've said you've watched a fair bit of West Ham this season. I admit I haven't seen much of West Ham this season, but what I wanted to ask you was, I saw the 2 yellow cards that Alvarez got, and I forget which game it was when he got the sending off, but both yellows looked really. When I say dubious, I don't mean as in he didn't deserve them, because he did, but it was almost a bit like, why is he doing that? So that point you've just made, in terms of, you remember way back when, when a couple of our players from the past were getting accused of basically wanting to be off the pitch. Did you sense that with Alvarez as well when you saw those 2 yellows? Because I know I did. I was a bit like, why has he done that? He must know it's a second yellow. Do you know what I mean?
I've thought it for a while, mate. The Forest game didn't change me, and I have to be honest, that was probably one game that I didn't watch in its entirety. So I've only seen little clips of that one. But with regards to Alvarez, I've thought for a while that he's not happy. So from what you're saying, I would say, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. You go through periods where maybe a player isn't happy with the manager, not happy with the club, wanting out, and you see those types of behaviors happen, which kind of screams to you that something's not right. And Alvarez screams that to me, if I'm honest with you. Like I say, something doesn't seem right. Paqueta is the same. Something doesn't seem right. I think Lawless is maybe right in terms of the case against him with the betting is probably playing on his mind. Natural, understandable. We had the same with Tonali last year. You could see his performances weren't of what he's putting in like this season, because he's got that that monkey off his back. So that's understandable. But Alvarez definitely is a standout of a player that's not particularly happy. I think Antonio is playing within himself. I think he's playing of a player that knows his future is not secure at West Ham, and he could well be moved on at any point. And Bowen, although he did well for England, hasn't been playing well. He hasn't been great in his performances. So I think there's a lot of question marks about West Ham, but there's a lot of positivity around Newcastle United. And Daz, you touched on it. It could go either way, and I hope it really doesn't go the other way, because I want this positive train to continue. I want us to. I'll be honest, boys. I want us to go in on Monday and absolutely steamroll West Ham. I need a 10:30 breaking news or a yellow ticker on Sky Sports News that Lopetegui's gone. Like, I need that.
I thought you meant a reaction show.
No. Whoa.
That's what I thought you meant.
We moved that to Tuesday earlier this morning.
We're kind of giving things away here, but what I want to see then, I'll rejig that a little bit. I want to see the Sky Sports News yellow ticker that Lopetegui's been sacked, and I want to see the yellow ticker on our stream of the breaking news that Lopetegui's been sacked whilst we're doing our reaction show. We're comfortable with. That's what I want to see, and there's no reason for me to think of why that can't happen. Kelly coming in for Burn, I genuinely think that's a like for like. I actually think there's a level of me thinking that actually that might well be a positive for this game, because if he does play Mikel Antonio, he's a very physical striker. He likes to put himself about. He's got pace to run on the ball in and behind. He has got that ability. Even at 34, he's still got that level, but he's a very strong defender, and he's got the pace to keep tack with him, whereas maybe Dan Burn hasn't. And last season, I think he did get the better of Dan Burn on occasions at St. James's Park. Fabian Schär will always be in a battle with him, but it's always a 50-50. I think having those two here with a little bit of pace and a little bit of guile from both players could keep Antonio very, very quiet. And I think it's not really a bad move. Everywhere else on the pitch, the pace, the technical ability, the running ability, the work rate, We have everything currently that can overpower West Ham. So I can't not be confident that we can go in and win, but we've just got to do it. I need that 2022, 2023 Newcastle United where I want to start feeling like we're going into games going, you know what, we're going to win this, and you know what, we go and do it. We actually go in and do what we say and think and believe that this Newcastle United are going to do. And I think that's the big task for Newcastle United on Monday. But yeah,
Paqueta and Tonali look away now. But Chris, do you think there's value in this match? I see you put this in our chat.
Me, yeah, I do. When you said Paqueta and Tonali look away now, I didn't even get onto that. Yeah, I put this up on screen or put it in the chat because to me that says a lot to me. I mean, for anyone who's not clued up, you know, on the odds, they're basically saying Newcastle are 1-2 effectively. West Ham are the draw is just over 3-1. And West Ham to win is 5-1. And sometimes the bookies do make mistakes, but 9 times out of 10 they get it pretty spot on. And the fact that West Ham are 5-1, I think that speaks volumes. You know, the fact that it's going to be a difficult game for them on Monday. And somebody else in the chat put there, I think it was John Beerbeck, when he said, you know, I think everything is pointing towards us doing well. I think, you know, with it being a Monday night game under the lights, St. James's Park, I just think. I think this game has come at a really good time for us. You know, if it was like you were saying before, Pete, you know, that you think that it's looking good for Newcastle. I think if this was a 3:00 Saturday game, I might feel a little bit differently about it. But the fact that it's a Monday night evening game, I think that just plays even more into our hands, particularly if the results go our way at the weekend. Particularly.
Yeah. Definitely. Under the lights, we always tend to put in a performance.
Yeah.
And it does fill me with confidence for sure.
Boys, I want to give a few shout outs that came in during the show. And here, I'll just get rid of this as well. Just where's my comments gone? Yeah, so first of all, let me see. Richio 65. He's celebrating his 66th birthday tomorrow and retirement. So hoping for an Everton and Southampton win would sign off a great weekend. So congratulations, Richio 65. You have to change it to Richio 66 then, by the looks of it.
I hope he's wishing for a Newcastle win as well.
You would hope so.
You would hope so.
Come on. You would. There's another few. Yes, Les, who's in. She may still be in the chat, but Les, who was the winner of the tickets to the Pete Graves show with Philip Albert, John Beresford, Steve Watson, and Peacock, I think it was. So. She says, many thanks for enabling an amazing experience last night for my daughter and her hubby. So hope they had a brilliant. Sounds like they had a brilliant night. So yes, send us those pictures as well. We want to see some pictures. But
the pictures that they got an official picture, I think, on entry. Lisa dropped me an email today, but I apologize, Lisa. I was busy, so I've not read it properly. Yes. But yeah, I'll get the official pictures and I'll forward them on. I've got the email to forward them on to ensure Les has those pictures. But I'll get on to Pete Graves to sort that out. So I just wanted to mention that now. I did acknowledge the email from Lisa. I've not been able to respond properly, but I will. I'll get on that for sure.
I'll give another one as well to Adam, who's a member for 34 months. Nice one, Adam. He says, finally able to watch a live show, tune. But Adam there from the start as well, if I remember. Adam was on the early days. And a link back to the start, because Jordy Tune for Life asked the question. He asked, who picked the name Loaded Mag in UFC, and also which other names did you consider? I can answer this one because Loaded Mag, the idea originally came from Martin. Loaded Mag was Martin, myself were bouncing over names, and I think it was Martin that came up with the Loaded Mag, and the link in into there was a Loaded magazine once upon a time, so it tied in. It was kind of that little kind of tweak on that as well. But then we kind of rebranded a bit to Loaded Mag NUFC to make us everyone know we're a Newcastle channel. But that's a blast from the past on that one. But good question, Georgie.
Linking to the Loaded magazine. Classic Martin.
He knew nothing about it though. He didn't know anything about it. I had to explain to him. Yes, I had to sit him down and have a talk. But no, he'll appreciate that, I'm
sure. I know we're potentially going to wrap into second with the predictions, but I've got a question for you boys. I want your thoughts on this, and it's topical. It's a topical question. Lots of talk today about the Stack fan event last night. Lots of talk about Brad Miller's comments with regard, or was it Brad Cooper?
I was waiting for that. I didn't get onto it, and I was like, "What's he on about?" And then I realised, and I was like, "Bradley Cooper." I was like, "Oh my god!"
Great in the Hangover. Great in the Hangover. Not gonna lie.
It's brilliant in the Hangover. I don't even talk very much about Bradley Cooper, so I don't even know where that comes from. But yeah.
But you know, Brad Miller's comments around a new stadium. I think it'd be rude not to give our thoughts on this before we wrap up the show, seeing as it's a very topical conversation. Talking about, you know, the rebuild is a possibility at St. James's Park, but if we did go and build a new stadium, it would offer the opportunity to double our revenue that we currently build at Newcastle United, and it would add a significant amount of new seats for fans to potentially attend games on a regular basis. Hearing those thoughts, what do you make of what Brad Miller said? Where is your stance on this situation now? I know we've been talking about this as the days and weeks have gone on. Where are we now? And people in the chat, please put your comments in. Aaron Robinson is already coming with his opinion on this. What are your thoughts, boys? What are you? Where are you at right now?
Where am I at? Well, considering Chris and I were the three of us, but you were busy, Pete. But we're having a conversation today about season tickets and where we might pick our seats in this new stadium that hasn't been decided to be built yet and would take an X amount of years to build. But we were picking our seats. That kind of a conversation we're having. So yeah, I think we're all in on a new stadium. But I think now that it was more redeveloped St. James's Park in some fashion, however you can do it. It's swayed as time has gone on, and the majority now seem to be towards new stadium. And there's a number of reasons behind that as well. To make us to take us to that next level, and so I think someone said as well. I saw a tweet today about it would be crazy not to take the advantage of what PIF can do as well, and the Jamie Rubin and the Rubens and their expertise, and build us that's something for the next generation as well, not just the here and now. But so yeah, and I think as it's gone on, and as it's going to be a one check and a significant decision, and one that's a life-changing kind of moment, I think I would be just disappointed now if it's not a new stadium. But we will see early January. Early New Year, January, February.
Chris, where you at? Are you saying?
Yeah, do you know what, Pete? Yeah, and I think, to be fair, not bragging, but I think as a channel, the three of us, and maybe I'm fair saying this, I think we've been pretty consistent from the start. We've all said, maybe we've got our own unconscious biases, who knows, but I think we've all said from the start that, like, you know, as much as it would be, you know, a bit of a wrench to leave to leave St. James's Park, you know, it would be sad, and there's been a lot of, you know, great memories there, and you know, maybe we don't have, you know, the same attachment as, say, a season ticket holder who's there every other week. I appreciate that, but still have those memories. I think times have to move on, and this is what we consistently said. If we want to build as a club, the revenues need to go up, and I think the more bums that are on seats in the stadium, and if it means that we can get better players on the pitch, if it means that we can advance, we can progress quicker. I think, and Pete, we've spoken about this before, haven't we? You and I were at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it was a mouth open moment. It was just like, wow. Like, imagine we had this. And Peter, I'm sorry if I pronounce his name wrong, Peter Clennell, he posted a video on X this week of a stadium, built. And it just looks brilliant. It looks absolutely brilliant. And I think we've said from the start, boys, as long as it's done correctly, as long as it's done with the engagement of the fans, which I have every belief that it will be. It won't just be, oh, here's your new stadium, get on with it. I think a lot of thought and effort will go in terms of trying to make it look like home. We know, and maybe this could have been something we asked Lawless, actually. We know that teams like West Ham, who were kind of, adopted a stadium and then they're just plonked in there, it doesn't have the same feel. Like, obviously their stadium was an Olympic track stadium. Yeah. And it's not, that's not good. We won't have that. It will be custom built. It will be made how we want it. It will be, I think there'll be a lot of fan engagement. I think there'll be a lot of, well, we saw when the owners came in, didn't we? We saw that,
So I'm sorry, Chris. I'm laughing at this one from Claire because the guy who bought the land behind the East End and put the stupid fence up will get zero. That's classic as well. I love that thought.
That's a great point. That's a great point. We know a lot of thought and effort will go into it, and I think, as I say, we've been consistent in that. It will that was the point I was making. When the new owners came in, we were all amazed at when they washed the windows. And they repainted it, and all these little fine little touches, which meant so much to us as fans. There's no doubt that's what's going to happen in this new stadium. It wouldn't surprise me if there was little elements lifted from St James's Park to the new stadium to make it feel that more at home. So yeah, for me, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. And I think fans, as soon as it's built, as soon as you step foot in it, I think fans will be like, yeah. This is the real deal now. And then obviously, you're talking about a training academy and stuff like that. It's long overdue. It should have been done years and years and years ago. And now I think it will be absolutely mind blowing. We've got these owners and they want to invest. And if we don't allow them, or we object to them building a new stadium, I just think it's a massive mistake. This is like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I think we have to take it with both hands, because let's be honest, it's not going to be we'll just give you the stadium, there you go, I'll throw a few quid at it. It's going to be the best stadium. We said this today, didn't we, boys? It's going to be the best stadium in the UK. It's probably going to be the best stadium in Europe, if not the world. Why would we not want that? Why?
Makes perfect sense. Look, I've advocated for a new stadium, and the thing is that, and a couple of people have put it in the chat. We're not saying that we don't care about St James's Park. Of course, it's an iconic stadium. It's an iconic stadium, not just for us, but for everyone in this country. They always talk about how good St James's Park is, but just like every other stadium in this country, you have to move with the times. Every current stadium in this country had a point in which it wasn't developed, and it's been added to as they've gone along. Every stadium you look at, it's been developed over time, and every stadium at some point has to then get to its maximum before you look at it and go, do we keep it as it is, or do we move on to something bigger and better? And we're at that stage now. We've redeveloped St James's Park. It's been bigger and better than it was previously, going into the 90s, into the 2000s. But we've got to the point where we've maximized everything that we can with St James's Park. And it gets to the point where we now think, right, for us as a club, in order to be better, what do we need to do next? And for me, it's a no-brainer. We have to move to a new stadium. And there's a few caveats to that. Now, We have to move to a new stadium for lots of reasons, for financial reasons, of course, for bums on seats reasons. There are not enough seats to fill the demand of tickets for matches. It's as simple as that. And we have to look at that next phase for Newcastle United. We have to think about the club and where the club wants to be. The club with more bums on seats, with a bigger stadium, the best stadium has already been mentioned. Newcastle United Stadium would be one of the best. Someone put in the chat, oh yeah, we need to, I think it might be Alan, we need to do it before Man United do it. I ain't interested in Man United. I'm not interested in Man United and what they do. However, Everton have just built their new stadium, so their revenue is going to be massively improved, which is going to give them more financial clout. But I'm not even worried about them. I wouldn't be surprised if Aston Villa start to announce new plans for a new stadium very, very soon. I won't be surprised if other clubs around are not doing the same, because they know that the revenue will create. Arsenal are already talking about expanding their stadium to improve their revenue. So they're looking at where they can get money and redevelop and do. And they've moved from an iconic stadium in Highbury. So everybody's having to make difficult decisions, and it is a difficult decision. But the key to it is a new stadium will bring more revenue, double the amount of what we currently get right now. That alone puts us in a conversation where we're already punching weight with the top six just by a new stadium coming in. The financial capabilities, and this is the key here to it all, lads. This is the key to it all. It shouldn't necessarily be, but it is financial revenue. How much money we generate. That puts us alongside the top six. So not only will we be punching weight with the top six in terms of football on the pitch, we'll be doing it financially at the back, which a lot of clubs aren't doing right now. Secondly, it allows more fans to go into the stadium week in, week out, which has been the bugbear for the last 2 or 3 years. For a lot of fans, a lot of discontent about not being able to get tickets, about the ballots and everything else, okay, that would ease a lot of concerns that are currently there right now. So that's 2 points. The third point in there, in relation to the tickets and bums on seats, potential for season tickets. Fans that gave up their season tickets because of the horrible error under Mike Ashley and then weren't able to get those season tickets back. New fans that want the opportunity to have a season ticket, it gives us an opportunity for that too. And then the fourth thing on top of that, the thing that generates a lot of additional money, hospitality. A lot of fans are not happy with the hospitality because it takes away from fans that genuinely want to come in and just watch the game week in, week out. Why not do both? Why not offer a hospitality option that earns lots and lots of money, but still get the fans that want to come in, week out and support the club, not pay those extensive prices? Okay, it happens to answer a lot of, if not all of the quality, the concerns and questions that Newcastle United fans have been asking for the last few years. And if we can combine that and put that together by building a new stadium, then it makes logical sense. Logical sense. Now, the club have said they want to pay and write a check once. They want to write one big check once. For me, to rebuild and redevelop St. James's Park as that one big check would be a huge mistake, in my opinion, for the club and the ownership to make. It's now time. Now, a lot of caveats to that. A lot of people have said in response, I put a tweet out earlier and they're saying, yes, but, and I agree. It needs to be in close proximity to where the current stadium is right now.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say to that is that from the noises we're hearing and we've been hearing for the last 3 months, those conversations with the club and the council, the club and the local area, Leazes Park being one of those conversations, they seem to be already happening. So I trust that the club are going to make the right decision in terms of doing their due diligence around the area to make sure that the decisions that are being made are right. Equally, if we do move into a new stadium, the iconic elements, the Gallagate, the Strawberry Corner, all those things, the things that make it iconic, even the slope going down to the Gallagher. I genuinely think all of those things will be taken into consideration. I genuinely do. I really do think all of those things will be taken into consideration to hold on to what made St. James's Park so special, because it did. And I think the club have already proven with a lot of fan events, a lot of fan interaction, what they've done so far. I think that will continue as a new stadium's in redevelopment if they announce it. And I'm confident that the club will make the right decisions. But that's just me on that. I think it's a no-brainer. It's the logical decision, and I do feel that if we get this, it will put us onto a completely different stratosphere in terms of what we can do, and it'll put us right where we want to be within that top 6, soon to be top 7, because we'll be in that conversation with money generated, money to be spent on transfers, and we'll be able to really kind of punch with it with the top boys in that situation. I genuinely believe that.
Couple of points on what you've just said, Pete. I thought particularly the hospitality point was a really good one. I know, we're looking to improve connections for, flights wise, from Saudi Arabia. Imagine if we had this fantastic hospitality suite or section within the stadium, no doubt all around the stadium. That is also built, for the fans from Saudi Arabia who want to come over. And if it's in a hospitality section, that for me that's perfect. The fans who aren't there going to be there week in, week out, the ones who come over for special occasions or special events. If you've got a big hospitality offering, that's a great way of bringing the money in and making sure that people can sit there. Yes, some of the sections will be astronomical prices, but it's going to be an option for people, in Saudi Arabia to be able to come over. So, having a fantastic hospitality offering, I think is going to be really good, as well as obviously increasing the capacity, in the normal seats, if you like. But the second point I wanted to make, and it's more a question actually. Lots of fans have been discussing, haven't they? What capacity, how many seats do we need? How many seats would you do? So what I want to ask you boys, Bradley Miller, not Cooper, gets on the phone and he goes, right, your decision. How many seats? What allocation would you have in the new stadium? What would you suggest to be the allocation in the new stadium? I've got a figure in my head, but I'm just wondering what you boys would pick. Obviously, current capacity is just over 52,000. What do you think? Well, what would you pick, and what do you think the owners will end up going with?
Go on, Daz.
Yeah, look, to tell you the truth, I haven't. It doesn't. I think they should have enough, right? I don't want a crazy amount either, because I don't want it to look at the gaps all over the place, or some way that you can expand and contract, perhaps as well. So I don't really have a figure. Just let's get the decision there first, and I think 70 has to be the starting point for me. 70 plus, just to make sense. Let's stop there.
Yeah,
Pete.
I'm the same, Daz. If we're talking about a brand new stadium, state of the art stadium that has everything in it, and I know Claire Jesus put 80,000, Jordy Two for Life put 70, 75. For me, I think the figure that we should be looking at, and there's a caveat to this, should be 70,000 seat stadium. It should be a 70,000 seat stadium for Newcastle United with the new stadium. However, what it should be is a little bit what Arsenal are doing right now. It should have the potential to expand if we need to. If we and look, it's only a matter of time, however many years that will be. It will happen at some point. Newcastle United rise with the financial strength and capability to fight with the top teams and fight at that top table on a regular basis. I think that brings in more new fans. It brings in more capacity. It brings in more sponsorships and all the rest of it. I think there's then a conversation then to potentially, like Man City have done twice now, is they've expanded their stadium on top of what they already did to make it bigger. And I think that should be within that conversation, is that if we're going to build a stadium, it should have the capacity to be able to extend it further. So if we go in at 70,000, I think we can fill 70,000 on a regular basis. I think with our fan base, with the demand of the club, and then the financial capabilities that allowed us to keep fighting at the top, I think we would regularly fill that. And I think a number of years afterwards, there could be a conversation for increasing it to 75, which is the same as Man United, which is the biggest in England other than Wembley. And then the world's your oyster after that, depending on how big we get and how many trophies we win. Because I do believe that will be within our future regardless. That's kind of where I'm at. But what about you, Chris?
I'm not far off you boys. I was going to say 75, but funnily enough, when I watched that video the other day, you know, of the design, and anyone who hasn't seen it, it's a fantastic video. So search Peter Clennell, and I think Pete did a quote tweet on it. So get on Pete's Twitter and have a look. What I was thinking was, it would be great having, like you said, Pete, having the capability to be able to expand. And I'm sure there's incredibly clever people out there who would be able to, you know, plan so that it's got so many seats, and then you could easily build on it. But what I liked from that video was, it was like a square, but it had gaps on each corner. And as I was watching it, I was thinking, yeah, because if you did it like that, you could then go, oh, do you know what? We want to add another 10,000 to it. Let's just fill in that gap there, and then you're not affecting the existing fans that are in there, because that's another thing, isn't it? If we, you know, touching on what you said before, Pete, if we were to expand St James's Park, we need to move out, and then where do we go? And it's going to be a long time. It's a lot of money. Then we're going to have to find a temporary stadium, which some fans would be happy with, and how long will it take? But if you built a, you know, all-purpose stadium with the potential, you know, if you had like the gaps on each corner, and then you went, you know what, let's put another stand in there, and then all of a sudden then you just create a bowl, but you've got the capacity to be able to add 5,000-10,000 onto each corner, and then all of a sudden, if our growth is as big as what we hope and what we expect it to be, you know, you could quite easily have a 95,000 stadium once you'd filled all the corners in. But it's doing the job, and it's not affecting the people who are already there, because you can start building on it, and people can still come in and, you know, take the match in and stuff, and not have to move, or not be able to seats shut down and stuff like that. So there's ways of doing it. But yeah, I take your point. I think it would need to be, and it would be, you know, like this fantastic stadium that has the capability to be easily expanded without minimal disruption.
Yeah. The only thing I change of what the both of you have described is that I wouldn't be building this extra things. I'd have it automated that it can like at the touch of a button. Well, maybe a bit more manual intervention to expand it. And let's say for a semi-final or a Champions League games that you can add in, it would allow like another 5,000 in that, and then that can be retracted again in some fashion. And these guys that are doing this, it'll be the state of the art. Yeah, look, we have to get there first. Let's see. Let's wait.
First, that'd be the first of its kind, as if we did that, and that's not to say it's not possible, because I think it is possible to have those retractable seats and to open up additional seats if needed. Some people have mentioned it in the chat, NFL, NBA, you know, other events, concerts, for example, that would all be able to be increased. Boxing, for example, the Riyadh season, like that would be able to generate, think of the money that it generates outside of football. It would be unbelievable. It would just be completely changing, not just to the club, but the community in the city. And that's the thing that sometimes gets forgotten. The stadium would generate so much money. It would add so many new jobs. It would add so much opportunity for other people in the community to earn money and be able to redevelop the city as a whole. It would become a beacon of the north, where so many people come in. We've got an airport. People come in, fly in to come and see us. Puts more light on Newcastle as a city, as a community, as an area of the country that a lot of people for years outside of the UK don't really talk about. They would start to talk about us a lot more, that's for sure. And it just opens up everything wider than just football conversation. But I just wanted to.
Sorry, Pete, I was just going to say from what you said, and imagine the surrounding area of the stadium because it's on a new plot. It'd be like, oh, let's put a hotel there. Oh, let's put this there, and there'd be all kinds around the stadium because they'd have the extra lands, no doubt, on the outskirts of it, and then there would then be reason for, and I think that's what Everton are hoping to do as well, so that people go there like every day. Oh, I'm going to go and have a meal, or I'm going to go for a pint, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And that in itself, as you say, will generate more and more and more money.
Definitely.
I'm going to go there to roar abuse at someone. Is what they're doing now, isn't it?
That as well, I'm going to go to do.
Yeah. But look, the conversation is going to run on. I'm sure we'll be having that conversation, maybe in tandem with the transfer window. Because if it's an early January or early 2025 release of what's planned for the stadium, who knows? We could be having that conversation alongside potential new signings. So let's.
I'd say we'd mention it. We might mention it once or twice when it gets decided.
Absolutely.
A few things to wrap up on.
Go for it.
First one for Magpie Stew, who has become a member. He's a loaded ultra, so there's plenty of seats for more loaded ultras as well. But thank you, Stu, for joining us and joining the party. Also, massive contributor towards the channel as well is Geordie Toon for Life, and it is his birthday. He's turning 66, I think, as well. So a nice one, Geordie Toon for Life, and I know that everyone in the chat was saying congrats to him as well. So just another shout out there. You wanted a reaction show. We are going to be back for a reaction show. I think we have decided now that we're going to do it on the Tuesday, especially with being a home game as well. Give you a chance, anyone who's going to the game to come back.
I remember that now, actually. Sorry.
Could change.
Chris, it could change. It could be here at 11 o'clock on Monday night.
Yeah, if we score silly amounts of goals, we could just get really excited. But yeah, we'll stick with Tuesday for now. Yeah.
Tuesday, cool. Anthony, did you want to say something else, Pete, before we wrap up?
Predictions and scores. I'm going to go Newcastle United 2-0 win. I'm confident we're going to keep this good train rolling. So I'm going to throw that out there. But boys, what do you think prediction-wise?
I said it earlier, 2-0 as well. Was my one, but I think it's going to be a tough enough game, not as easy as you might think, let's say. So, Sam will give us a game. Chris?
I'm going to raise you one. I'm going to say 3-0. But isn't it nice that we all think a clean sheet? I think I do. I think we'll keep a clean sheet. I really, I'm confident of that. But yeah, I'll say 3-0.
That all day long.
Right. Thanks a million for coming along and watching us on this Thursday evening. Thanks to Dan Lawless who joined us as well, and everyone that came into the chat along the way. 4-0 for Samsonite. He's got 4-0. 5-0 for Yano. Any more? Is that it? 2-0 for Tom Dixon.
Keep them coming.
William Will Smith is going 4-1. He's breaking the giving away the clean sheet.
What's a clean sheet?
Claire saying 3-1. Oh, here we go. It started a trend now. No one say 4-3. But we're going to leave it there. And you know what? Yano, we're going to play your tune. We're going to play this one for you again because you love it so much. Any chance Striker gets it spelled incorrectly there? You're spelling that wrong, Yano. Gets an Oxford Dictionary. But here we go. Good night, everyone. See you soon. I'm only messing Yano.